agrochemicals. So here, but the present water is being polluted heavily due to the due to industrialization, enlarged agriculture activities, and use of agrochemicals indiscriminately. As a result of water pollution, the normal functions of water are drastically affected. The signs of water pollution are obvious for all. For example, the bad odor, taste, and growth of water bodies and floating of oil are well known to all of us. The next one is aquatic ecosystem. Continuous circulation, transformation, and accumulation of energy and matter through the medium of living things and their activities characterize any ecosystem. Rivers, lakes, and estuaries and continuously subjected to dynamic state of change with geological and geochemical characteristics. This can be broadly classified as ecological balance, but the dynamic balance in the aquatic ecosystem is very much disrupted these days due to the human activities. This results in water pollution. Let us discuss about aquatic environment. So the major elements in aquatic ecosystems are phosphorus, nitrogen, carbon, oxygen. Of these elements, the phosphorus, nitrogen, carbon levels depends on the synthesis or the decomposition of organic matter by the aquatic biota. The types and distribution of this biota depend largely on the physicochemical characteristics of aqueous phase. Similarly, the physicochemical characteristics are also influenced by the activity of these biota. In many stagnant waters, the dissolved oxygen is consumed for the biological decomposition of organic matter. And this deficiency cannot be made up because the water are stagnant and cut off from the atmosphere as a consequence of oxygen depletion. The anaerobic bacteria dominate and the following reduction reactions are likely to occur. Let us take this NO3. It is converted to NO2, nitrogen dioxide. Then after it reduced to NH3 and it is finally converted to N2. That means the NO3 release the nitrogen gas as well as the sulfate it is converted to hydrogen sulfide. So it is heavy and harmful to the body as well as the water. Okay. At a depth of 21 meters, the temperature will be 7 degrees and anaerobic conditions occurs, the reduction reaction takes place at a depth of 36 meters only. The temperature will be 4 degrees. Sediments consisting of organic matter, metal, sulfide exits. Here the topic is water pollution. So look at this. These affect the water pollution. All types of water sources are polluted these days due to the enhanced agriculture activities as well as high industrialization. The water pollutants can be broadly classified into 5 types: organic pollutants, inorganic pollutants, sediments, radioactive materials, thermal pollutants. First, we are discussing about organic pollutants. The oxygen demanding waste, sewage, oil, synthetic carbon components, plant nutrients, agrochemicals, and disease causing agents are all grouped as organic pollutants. Okay, here the sewage, oil, synthetic carbon components, plant nutrients, agrochemicals, as well as the disease causing agents are called as organic pollutants. All these materials undergo degradation by bacterial activity in the presence of dissolved oxygen in the water sources. As a result of this, the dissolved oxygen content of waters decreases due to the pollution. Dissolved oxygen. So this is an essential requirement for life in natural water. The life in natural waters includes plants and animal population. The optimum amount of dissolved oxygen in pure natural water is 4 to 6 ppm. Therefore, decrease in this value of any water sources is an indication that the water source is polluted. Once I repeat. So this is what is dissolved oxygen. So this is an essential requirement for life in natural water. The life in natural waters includes plants and animals population. The optimum amount of dissolved oxygen in pure natural water is 4 to 6 ppm. Therefore, decrease in the value of any water source is an indication that the water source is polluted. The next one is what is biochemical oxygen demand? This is empirical in nature. It is measured by the quantity of oxygen used by suitable aquatic microorganism for a 5 days period. What is chemical oxygen demand? COD. The oxygen required for chemical oxidation of materials by potassium dichromate in 50% of sulfuric acid is the chemical oxygen demand. What are the source of organic pollutants? The source are the organic matter as mentioned above includes. The next is about the sewage. The domestic and industrial. The industrial waste, that means the paper mills as well as tanneries, Dye industries also produce the waste materials, those are dumped into the water, and runoff from agriculture land, the synthetic organic chemicals, that means fuels, plastics, fiber, detergent, paints, insecticides, food additives, pharmaceuticals, etc. In reality, this list is unending and it is not possible to list out all types in the limited space. There is no human activity where the synthetic organic wastes are unavoidable. Oils, by the oils also the water is polluted. The oil spills from cargo oil tankers on the seas, offshore oil exploration, leakages from oil pipelines. The most threatening organic pollution is from pesticides. Due to very large increase in the activity in agriculture sector, the organic pollution due to the pesticides has also increased greatly. Okay. The agriculture pesticides are categorized into three types. These are insecticides, herbicides, fungicides, and which are called as insecticides. The organophosphorus compounds like methionine, organic chlorine compounds like DDT. Then herbicide, the example is chlorophenoxy acid compounds. The example is 2,4-dichlorophenolic acid. And the fungicides are dithiocarbamates. Example is thyrome. Organometallic. Example is phenyl mercury acetate. Then next is about by the marine pollution also the water is polluted. The oceans are nowadays considered as a large dustbins. All types of industrial waste and waste liquids are dumped into the seas. The industrial waste from the industrial waste farm and forest off are all allowed into the oceans. It is estimated that more than 400 million tons of toxic waste are thrown into the oceans. Okay, more than 400 million tons of toxic wastes are thrown into the oceans. These wastes include biodegradable and non-biodegradable, radioactive and non-radioactive materials. Okay. So in these dumping materials, the biodegradable, non-biodegradable, radioactive and non-radioactive materials are dumped into the seas. Irrigation water also one of the cause. The water used for irrigation purpose must be free from salinity and dissolved solids. The next one is about quality of surface water. The surface water used for different purposes: recreation, aesthetic, aquatic, aquatic life, fish culture, and wildlife, and irrigation, and required to satisfy the following. That is, recreation and aesthetics. The surface water used for this purpose shall be free from, number one is, all materials which import, color or bad taste or turbidity. The second one is debris, oil and scram which form objectional deposits. Number three is toxic substances harmful for human beings, aquatic animals and plants. Number four is substances which promote the growth of undesirable aquatic life. What is aquatic life? The surface of water shall be free from number one is substances which are likely to be settled and inhibits the growth of flora. Floating substances like oil, grease, etc., which carry toxicity to human and aquatic elements. The next one is about the oil pollution. It is estimated that the total animal influx of petroleum waste, that is hydrocarbons, into the ocean is about 10 million tons per annum. This is mainly due to the transportation taken petroleum products and drilling activities. Besides this, the oil pollution due to spills are throughout a region by wind current, waves and tides. The oil is also subjected to different natural processes such as evaporation, dissolution, emulsification, uptake by marine organisms and sedimentation. As a result of all these processes, the composition of oil changes continuously. The overall effect of oil on marine organisms are the number one is the direct lethal toxicity. Number two is disruption of physiological activity. Number three is direct entry into organisms. Number four is change in biological habitats. Next is oxidation of organic pollutant. Oxidation of organic pollutant. All organic compounds are likely to be oxidized on exposure to sunlight and air. The photooxidation is the major route for the decomposition of organic compounds. The other ways are simple oxidation and hydrolysis. Soil microorganisms assist biological oxidation. These processes may convert toxic organic chemicals into non-toxic ones. What are the inorganic pollutants? The following types of inorganic substances are found to pollute water. Hence, these are considered as inorganic pollutants. Those are inorganic salts, mineral acids, metal compounds, finely divided metals, trace elements, metal complexes, organometallics, as well as the radioactive wastes. What are the sources of these inorganic pollutants? Number one is industrial waste. Number two is agriculture waste. Number three is domestic waste. Number four, acid mine drainage waste. Number five is soil erosion. So here, the toxic chemical discharged in by industries into the water sources get into human food chain. When these enter into our body, they disturb the biological process. This leads to ill health and some causes even to death also. The list of toxic inorganic chemicals, marine metals, and metal organic is very long. Some of toxic elements as well as the toxicity caused are given by a table. That is, suppose if arsenic metal, so this metal is it is dumped into the water, so it is produced by the mines, it causes the carcinogenic. If the cadmium metal, it is released from the metal planting as well as another industries, it causes high blood pressure, kidneys as well as blood cells are affected. Okay, due to the cadmium poisoning, high blood pressure as well as kidneys, blood cells are also affected. By taking of boron it is the source of detergent factories. The detergent factories dumped the boron and it is get toxic to the plants only. If the chromium, it is dumped by the metal plating, it get the carcinogenic. The copper, it is dumped by the source of metal plating and okay, and it causes the anemia, kidney as well as nerve disorder takes place. If manganese, it is the main source of mines and industries, these release the manganese, it get toxic to the plants. The mercury, already we know that, well known about the mercury. Mercury, it is produced Minamata disease in the previous days. The industries released mercury to the rivers or sea, then the fishes are eaten that mercury, as well as that fishes are eaten by the human, they get death condition in the previous days. Okay, so this mercury is released from the mines industries and it is very highly toxic material. Scandium, the scandium also the source of mines as well as coal operations, it is also very toxic. The zinc, it is also produced by the mines and metal plating. It is also harmful or toxic to the plants. That means the maximum sources are the mines as well as the metal plating. Okay. What are sediments? The soil erosion leads to sediment in water. It is extensive pollution of source of water. The soil erosion is exchanged by agriculture activities. Bottom sediments are rich sources of inorganic and organic matter. The bottom sediments undergo anaerobic reduction. The level of organic matter sediment is high than in soils. The chromium, copper, molybdenum, nickel, cobalt, manganese are the metals associated with sediments. The radioactive materials. 4 human activities are mainly responsible for this. The first one is mining operations of radioactive minerals. Second one is preparation of radioactive materials used in nuclear weapons. Third one is preparative use of radioactive materials employed in nuclear power plants. Okay, so the use of radioactive isotopes in medicine, agriculture, industry, and research. Some radioactive elements are like uranium 238, radium 226, iodine 131, cesium 137, berkelium 140, chromium 85, cobalt 16, manganese 54, iron 55, etc. Plutonium 239. The nuclear power plant generate low-level radioactive liquid waste. The liquid and gaseous waste obtained from fusion process are radioactive. The next is about thermal pollution. The coal-fired and nuclear fuel-fired power stations are the major source of thermal pollution. Okay, the coal-fired, nuclear fuel-fired, as well as the power stations are the major source of thermal pollution. The condenser coils are cooled with water from nearly river or lake, and the heated water is discharged back into the same river or lake. Okay, so the temperature of the water therefore raised by the 10 degrees centigrade. So this will have harmful effects on aquatic life. The addition to thermal pollution, there may be radioactive pollution due to the water containing radioactive materials discharged into the rivers and lakes. Next one is eutrophication. Sewage and agriculture runoff contain phosphates and other nutrients. Therefore, when these are discharged into the rivers or lakes, the nutrients get accumulated in these water. These waters will therefore suffer from overnutrition. This causes eutrophication. As a result of overnutrition, there will be algal bloom. This makes the lake become marshy or debris. The lake will be filled with sediments and aquatic animal life will perish. Finally, the lake may turn into a dry land, but there will be two processes. Number one is production of aquatic life and the decomposition of it by the bacteria. In normal fresh waters, these two balance each other, but in lakes with large amount of nutrients, the former dominates and the decomposition process and thus leads to eutrophication. Then what are the water quality standards? How the water quality standards are measured? Here, the parameter generally considered for establishing the standard of water are number 1 is color, odor, and taste. Number 2 is pH. Number 3 is dissolved oxygen. Number 4, total dissolved salts. Number 5, suspended solids. Number 6, inorganic chemicals. Number 7, organic chemicals. Number 8, radioactivity. And the ninth one is bacteriological parameters. Okay. So these are the quality standards of water. The permissible limits of these parameters are laid down for drinking water by Indian Standard Institute, that is ISI. These are the listing table, that is ISI standards for water. Okay. The color, odor, taste, the pH should be 6 to 9, in between the 6 to 9, and the dissolved oxygen is 30 ppm. The total dissolved salts are 500 ppm. The suspended solids are 5. Okay. So these are the ISI standards of drinking water. So this is about the water pollution. Next, we are discussing about the soil and sound pollution. Let us discuss about soil pollution. Soil is the receptor of large quantities of waste products, domestic, human, animal, industrial, and agriculture. The combustion of sulfur containing fuel emits sulfur dioxide and thus leaves finally sulfates on the soil. Similarly, nitrates are also deposited from emission of nitrogen oxides. Okay. The fertilizers and pesticides are largely retained by agricultural lands and the nearby soils. The quality of soil has an important or public health standards through the human food chain. Thus, the environmental health aspects of soil deserve serious attention. Sound can be pleasure or sometimes can be hazard. The proverb says silence is golden, but speed is silver. That means thus both silence and speech are essential in some circumstances and hazardous in other situations. Hence, only civilized person shall decide for himself when and at what level sound is pleasure or hazard. So let us discuss the waste classification and disposal. The waste are classified into 3 types. Number 1 is domestical waste. Number 2 is trade waste. Number 3 is industrial waste. The first one is domestic waste. These include refuse and garbage arising from houses and other residential premises. The second one is trade waste. These involve refuse arising from retail commercial and business premises. The third one is about industrial waste. These originate from minerals, manufacturing and processing establishments. Some of these wastes are toxic and other are non-toxic. The toxic wastes are tarry liquids, solid tarry materials, acid tar, waste oils, lubricants, waste paints, pesticides, residues, photographic waste, aromatic hydrocarbons, chlorocarbon compounds, noxious organic solvents. So here, depending on the nature of the waste, these are difficult methods of waste disposal. The modes of waste disposals are schematically illustrated below, that is, so water sources, what are the methods and disposal site. The nuclear source, okay, the nuclear, these are storage and land as well as sea. Industrial waste, these are recovering as well as recycling or takes place, or sometimes treatment is takes place and these are disposal into the land. Agriculture also disposal into the land, as well as domestical garbage or collection of transport. These are also disposal into the land as well as water bodies, that means seas. Recycling technology of plastic waste is being followed now in many developed countries. Some wastes are now being used for power generation. Advanced countries are adopting modern technology and treating the waste at the plant itself. In some cases, the waste are pulverized and incinerated. The heat evolved in such process is also put to better uses. Okay, so today's topic is completed. Let's continue in the next class.